I'm Frank.
And I'm Grant, and our idea for Field and Flame stemmed from our love for the outdoors and cooking. Based in northern Minnesota, we have such incredible resources available to us. From duck to deer and salmon to walleye, we truly have it all. Field and Flame is a show about our adventures in the field and cooking what we capture over the flame. Follow along each week as we explore something new and bring taste and flavor to every meal. Season 1 of Field and Flame TV is brought to you by Canine Health Forward, because every dog deserves this.
Eric Brisson, Grammar / Hovland, part owner of North Superior Fishery out of Grammar, Minnesota. Just stuck with commercial fishing because it's in my family's line of heritage, and I like it. It's a fun job. So we drove out probably a good mile and a half down the shore to the first one, our furthest gang. So we'll start here and kind of see what happens, and then we'll start with this one and see how many fish we get today. Hopefully it's as good as yesterday, so it's the biggest thing. So this one's out a little further than the rest of them. This one, we started about 60, 70, 80 feet, somewhere in there. And we're only like 3 fathom from the surface on this one, just to kind of, that's where they're running right about now. So, been fishing up here for that long, and it's you kind of learn it and figure it out, and it's a lot different than fishing on a Grammar because it gets a little deeper out there faster. So what we're doing is we actually start from the inside. We grab that marker flag to get to the stretch line, and then we start pulling to the net. And then the net just kind of comes over the table here. And then when we're doing this, then we can kind of spread it and pick the fish out. And it just goes back out and it stays anchored in one position. Might be a little less looking than yesterday for sure, but... so this gang here is 500 foot, 16 foot deep webbing. We got 4 of them that are 516, and then our 5th one is a shallower one. Way less current than yesterday by far. Good numbers though. Starting to get a little better the further out we go. So yesterday when we had really good current, what happened is that it tries to close the net up, so it folds together pretty much. And so it makes it harder to pull up the line to the boat and get it over the bow, and so it's just a little bit harder to do anything when you get more current. So with a little less current, I mean, it's easier on the body to do things. We're not a lot of fancy features on this big old boat. It's pretty much a steel boat and heavy. And then when it gets loaded, it makes it even harder to pick the fish, and you're pulling the boat, so I got a control outside and a steering wheel to kind of kick one motor into gear and kind of help us down the line. I fish out of a little green boat that's steel. That was my grandpa's in the summer, and that's a lot easier to pull along than this one. This was a older fisherman in town that had this boat, and it wound up back out at Isle Royale some Some people bought it out there and used it for just to kind of go around, and so I wound up buying this boat. I don't know how many years ago that was, and then redone it. I used to work in a place in Two Harbors called North Shore Steel, and I had them redo my boat for me and sandblasted, painted, did a bunch of welding. I used it the first year without having anything done to it, and it was good. I had a single 90 on it at that point, and then when I had it redone, I put twin 92 strokes, and then 3 years now ago, I bought twin 115 4 strokes. It was kind of cool. I kind of like rebuilding old steel boats. It's kind of a fun project. Plus, it's a little bit of heritage too. So, yesterday it got hot on us, and you start. Well, Brian's probably already sweating.
I am.
He's already got his hat off. Then it got foggy and kind of cooled down a little bit. We have gotten lake trout, and we do get incidental tags from the DNR. So we just got to tag it, and then we do a bunch of paperwork, length, weight, and then there's tag numbers, and then they ask if it's a native trout or if it's like a natural trout for reproduction, or if it's a fat trout. This one's like got a lamprey scar on it. So that's kind of what happened to that one. And been seeing a few more herring with lamprey scars recently, and under.
Under.
I don't know if you can see the little orange ball. That's kind of our trip
Way
set.
out.
So yeah, these just kind of come up over the table, and then they go right back. And to move everything, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of moving parts to setting a net and pulling and bringing it back in, and it takes a little bit of work. Less than this one than yesterday by far. Yesterday we had 5 boxes of this one. So we're done with this net. We're gonna head to the next one closer to where we came from. It's just a little ways up ahead here. So we'll check that one and see what we get out of that gang. Tight as yesterday?
Yeah, it's pretty tight.
She did move on us, so we did re-drag everything to get her reset, so. Yeah, we drug that one tight for sure. So hopefully, this one had a few fish, but it's definitely tight.
Yeah, it is.
It's a good set then.
Should be. Beautiful day, Eric.
Uh-huh, gonna get a sunrise today.
Yeah.
There's 1, 2, 3. A few more. Maybe they're inside again.
Hope so.
This one's not as deep as the first one, so we'll see. See a few more coming.
Yummy.
Feed the birds. The 2 more that we got after this are 500 footers, 16 foot deep. In the summertime, I fish shorter gangs just to kind of contain from myself getting too many when I fish alone, but it just kind of contain how much we can kind of control how much we need for sales and everything. Kind of hoping to see some smaller. We've gotten a few smaller ones that the DNR said we'd never catch, and I sent them in to see like a year class on them. But it'd be kind of neat to show you like what we've been seeing the whole upcoming that they said is the best herring population they've seen in like 40 plus years. We don't get a lot of them because our webbing is a set regulation, so they're supposed to be able to swim right through this meshing. But we have seen a few. They don't gill up, they just get tangled in. I think that one's a little bit of a challenge, so you can push him through. He's small enough. So when they're smaller like that, they actually slide through a lot easier. The bigger ones like that one, they just gill. They don't get in unless you got a hole or something, then they can get stuck, but
There's one of the smaller ones.
oh yeah. That one's a little bit. That's the end of that one. So it's a lot slower of a day, but kind of takes it easier on the body for once. But these next two we'll go to, these have kind of been our best ones to see more fish. So we'll head over to the third gang we got and see what we got in there. Not much out here today. Yesterday it was really good. It was almost to the point it was too much. So like on these ones, we set these floats. They're here to suspend the net up from the bottom. So like these ones, we set them 3 fathoms. So we do about 3 arm lengths, which is a fathom is 6 feet. So that's roughly about your arm span. So then we set these and just kind of set them there because over the years we found, every place is different. In the summer, it's different. Summer, they kind of follow cooler water. But I've always just kind of started with this, and I've gone to like 2 fathom before. Never want to go any shallower. You get any big storms, and then you can lose things. Things get tangled, break free. I mean, we've had issues at 3 fathom even, where wind and everything, but it all depends if you get a lot of current with the 2. 3 to 2 is kind of my minimum that I like to go to. But this way it keeps it suspended and keeps them floating at the right depth. Like as you can see in this one, it's got pretty good amount of fish. Not as much as we'd like to see, but on average, no, I guess there's a small one. That's we've been seeing a lot more of them. It's funny because they claim that we weren't supposed to catch them in these because they're too small. But when there's no current like this, they'll still hit it and then they just get tangled. My box is full, Brian, that's why I keep hitting the floor. Water's still kind of warm too. Yeah, a couple weeks ago it was damn near 63 still out here. Our good temp we like to see is anywhere from like 42 to 45 is ideal. Then you see more numbers of fish. That's kind of what we found that they like to be in. So like in the summer, we'll go out a little further and say you go out to like 200 feet, set a net. Then we can drop like these nets, we can suspend down like 20 fathom or 15 or 10. And then you kind of just hope that you find what you're looking for. But like I say, it's not always the case at times. So yeah, there's 2 big anchors on each end. And I mean, we've had them out here and it's a lot of work to pull these in and reset. And I mean, you got a lot of extra line. So the rule of thumb is like 3-4 times the depth. So from like the flag part to the inside trip, you want to go at least 3-4 times your depth. So then it gives you a little more leeway so you're not pulling straight up and down all the time. And they hold up. I mean, we've had gear move and break free, but it doesn't travel. I mean, one side will break and then it'll hang on by the other side of the anchor. So they're about 100 pounds a piece. They're great big steel anchors, like old style hook anchors that we've had that we've cut in half and welded together. So they're like a 4-prong anchor. They hold up really good. They're heavy. And when you set them, I mean, they go down so fast that next thing you know, you're on bottom. You're just like, holy smokes. What'd you wind up with on that one? A halfer? So this one here is our 5th and final net for the day. A little lighter day than what we've had. Like I say, at times that can be nice, but I mean, with all the gear we have, we're kind of hoping for a little more than what we've seen. So, but yeah, these will set back down and stay in the same spot overnight, and we'll just see what the next day brings. So we just got back. We're gonna flay up some fish for sale here. So we'll take this and dump her in the scaler, and this is on a timer, so we'll just let this do its thing. So all we do is we just close that up and then hit water, and it's on a timer, so that'll scale for about 5 minutes, and you'll see like the water and the scales come out of the actual drum itself while it's spinning, and then we go from there. So we use the scaler just because it helps to not dull the knives as fast, and then that way we can actually have orders of skin-on herring. That way you don't wind up having to scale everything by hand. This just kind of revolves one of the processes that we do. And so this helps out to not dull the knives, and plus we have orders of skin-on herring at times. So it's a neat deal, helps out, makes things a little easier. It's a lot easier than what I was raised doing. When I was a kid growing up, my grandpa fished, and we wound up actually hand scaling them with a gut knife, and so you'd have to scale them, throw them in a bucket of water, take them out of the water, and then they'd flay them. This way we just wind up scaling them, dumping them in the box, and then dump them on the table and flay them from there. It's a small load today, just for fun. Gah. The reason why we scale these is because we got a lot of orders with skin on and everything too. We got a couple restaurants that do skin on, so when it scales, as you can see, it takes most of the scales off. So then we can fine tune a lot of these to actually take the scales off the rest. So then we just kind of drag it, but we have a lot of restaurants that do skinless. So if we don't scale, it's just harder on the blades and everything when we go to flay them out. So then you just get a couple and go from there, and then throw it in an ice bath, let them sit. Then you just kind of fine tune the rest of them. You just flay them out, and away you go. So now this time of year we wind up taking the eggs out of them. That's a good portion of our money. We get paid a little more for the roe out of them, so we'll save them to kind of save them up and put them in a bucket. And so we just kind of fine tune the scale part, and then some of these we'll take the skin off of and everything. So then you get a nice big fillet out of them. You see more bigger fish this time of year with the roe coming in them. And you can see we get a few smaller ones around too. And
today we are in the kitchen making some Lake Superior herring cakes. Little non-traditional way we are going to do it. We're going to use our Cajun seasoning in these. We're going to we're going to fillet these up. We're going to add some onion. I got some cornstarch, some clarified butter, egg, evaporated milk, lemon, and then we're going to use our Cajun seasoning. So we're going to blend all these together, kind of patty them up, and then we're going to cook them on the flat top. If you're at home, you can cook them in a pan or electric girdle, whatever you got. First thing we're going to do here is we are going to fillet the skin off so we can add it to the food processor. There is a little bit of like Y bones in these, but seeing as we are going to blend it all together, that is going to grind up and it'll work out just fine. Herring comes off super easy. This is super nice fish coming from Lake Superior, cold water, so it's nice and firm. And again, you're going to leave those bones in the top there because they are going to grind up just fine. So now that we have our chunked up herring, I'm going to add it to the food processor. We're not going to start that yet. We're actually going to dice up an onion and throw that in there as well. I'm not going to put all of that in there, but most of it. I'm going to get the top on and I'm going to blend this up. I'm going to let that work, and while that's working, I'm going to get my other ingredients together here. I have my egg, cornstarch, butter, evaporated milk. I'm just going to let that go until it's a nice paste. All right, so we have the fish here. We're going to add a beaten egg in there. We have some evaporated milk we're going to put in there. I got some clarified butter. You can use regular butter. You can use any kind of fat. Then I have some cornstarch here. Use a couple tablespoons of that. Got a lemon. And then we're going to add our Cajun in here last. And then we're going to just start mixing this up. We don't want to work it too much, but we're just going to get it mixed up. Best practice is to cover this, let it sit in your fridge for about 4 hours or so before you patty them out. So when you refrigerate these now for 4 hours, it's going to kind of set up. It's going to get a little thicker, a little easier to work with. But that's kind of what you're looking for right there. It's like a paste. Everything is ground up really fine. So when you do use these, you're just going to take a scoop, set it right on your griddle or your pan, your flat top, and then just kind of smash it out a little bit with a spatula and just let it cook. Flip it once, give it another minute or two, and you'll be set to go. We have these mixed up. We let them sit for a couple hours. And we are going to add a little bit of clarified butter to our griddle here. You can use oil if you got oil. We're just using the clarified butter. All you do is simply take a scoop, drop it on. These are going to be a little bit bigger. You can make them any size you like. And we have this set to about 380 to 400. Then we just take our spatula. And if your spatula starts sticking, get a little oil on it. We're just going to kind of keep an eye on these. As you can see, like even when you cook fish, you'll see the darker color on the bottom starting to change color, going up the edge. That's how you know where you're at cooking wise. You can take a little peek. That color is kind of exactly what we're looking for. Nice golden brown, crispy edges. Now that we flip these, we're just going to let them cook the rest of the way. You're going to see the difference in texture now that they're cooking. They get super firm and bouncy. So we are just going to let them cook the rest of the way through. If you want, you can temp them. You're looking like 145, 150 because you got the egg in there. It's probably good. But just when they're nice and firm, cooked all the way through. Now that these are done, you can tell they're firm to the touch. They're cooked all the way through. You could cut them open if you wanted to. You can use a spatula. You can use a fancy flipper like this, but just get them off your pan or your grill. Right there, you got a big feast. Now we're gonna make a quick lemon dill aioli. Super fast, super easy sauce just to add on to this. We're gonna do this quick lemon dill aioli sauce. So we have our mayo. We're gonna do just a little squirt of lemon here. If you get any seeds in there, you can just fish those out. We got some dill. This is just dried dill. If you have at home, you can use it. If you have fresh, fresh is better. And then we have our agave seasoning, which is like our version of Old Bay. So we're gonna dump that in there. That's kind of what you get a look at here, and we're just gonna mix this up. Super pretty sauce. You can find all these seasonings on our website at fieldflame.com. Just like that, super quick, easy sauce. We have our herring cakes cooked up. We have our lemon dill aioli sauce made. We got some fried crispy onions for the top. Just gonna pull everything together. Again, we used our Cajun seasoning in our fish cakes, our agate bay in our sauce, 2 of our seasonings you can find on fieldflame.com. It's gonna be a really good meal. Just gonna plate this quick. Plate it however you want. We're just gonna do a quick sauce on the bottom. Got 2 fish cakes right here. So we'll put the onion straws down. We'll just do a fresh squeeze of lemon right over top. So there you have Cajun herring fish cakes.